I'm excited about how multifamily is looking in general going into 2026, and a lot of brokers and lenders are saying the same thing. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity in people who have preserved their reputation and their ability to raise capital and get investors. It's excited. 26 is going to be a strong year.
Welcome into the Get Invested podcast, a podcast about all things real estate and real estate investing, brought to you by Capital Velocity Investments and a part of the Matthias Talks Investing Substack. Hello, welcome into another edition of the Get Invested podcast. I'm Jordan Stone.
I'm Matthias Wilson.
And we're very excited to be here today with you to talk all things investing, real estate, and real estate investing. And then maybe, because it is the end of the year and our pre-production meeting was all over the place, there's probably going to be some shenanigans, but we're going to try to keep them short. So, Matthias, I understand you're about to take off after this episode. We're recording this on a different day because you got travel plans. Yeah.
Yep. I'm driving over to Mississippi, going to visit both really the whole Mississippi portfolio. We're doing Christmas decoration contests at across our properties, and winners I'll get a little, basically it's going to be first, second, third place for, the best Christmas decorations that the tenants have. And I'll give them a little, some break on their rent for, accordingly in first, second, and third. But a little cool thing, get everybody kind of get in the Christmas spirit and walk around, see the property, shake hands, press hands, shake babies, whatever it is, kiss hands, shake babies.
Pretty sure, I'm positive it's shake babies.
That I do know. Yeah. And then just, with the property management team as well, just kind of have meetings in person. I'll be there for a few days. And then the family, we're actually going to go to, the kids will be out of school on Friday officially. And so we got to try to break that up because it's like they've turned Christmas break into like a 3-week break now, like 2.5 week, 3-week break. So we're going to hang out in Mobile and see the battleship and do a couple cool things around town there for a day or two with the family, and then come home. And we got in-laws next week and full on holidays after that. I know you're traveling too, right?
Mm-hmm. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think there's only one, or there might be two, but there's a manatee that actually in the winter will come up around Mobile and come up in the warmer waters that you can kind of like go try to spot them in the wild. I think it's just one that has ever been spotted off Alabama's coast, but all of the rest of them are Florida. And I literally think they named it Bama but I'm just not going to.
Of course,
we might have people from Alabama.
But we see them. I'm not
going to launch into that, but
we see them in Destin and all along our coast all the time.
Yeah, that was so the interesting. I mean, the cool thing that if you find them in the winter is you can go because they'll swim up rivers essentially, and they'll be like it won't be like viewing them off into they like come up right to you because. Yeah, they're just swimming
the little channels and stuff.
Yeah, to stay warm. Yeah. Is it the USS Alabama, aptly named, that is the one off Mobile?
Yeah, it's cool. We've looked at it before, and in the springtime, the scouts, the Cub Scouts, are going to have an opportunity to go kind of do an overnight and sleep in the bunks, like So we're gonna do that. Ethan's excited. Last time the Cub Scout group pack did it, he was too young. They got to be like 6. To stay over the night, and obviously I would be there too, but he's excited about that. That'd be pretty cool. I think that's fun.
That will be cool, but you definitely need an age minimum on that. Like, can you imagine like a kid freaking out like what are you gonna do? Like, take him off the battleship and drive him home? Like, kid, I'm sorry, we're here,
we're here, we're locked in. Yeah. That's a cool thing that they've done before, but we're looking forward to it.
Heck yeah!
Some April or something.
On this trip, Ethan needs to do scouting. See if he can scout a position for in the spring. See if he can, know his way around a little bit better, find a better spot. Yeah, have cool things to make sure he can show his pals, that kind of thing. Yeah, he needs to do a scouting mission. Pun intended. We're headed out on Sunday. This is our long trip, I guess, because you drove to Kansas City on Thanksgiving. We drive to Ohio on Sunday and then drive down to Roanoke, Virginia. Well, we're driving. So I should specify Cleveland, which is the very north of Ohio. For anybody who's like,
as Ohio gets,
yeah, exactly. Anybody who's not up on their Ohio geography, which, I mean, I wasn't until I had to go there. I never realized that Cleveland was like literally on the edge on Lake Erie. So that's all the way up, and then come down to Roanoke, Virginia to spend Christmas with my family, and then come. So just got to get that sorted. Got to figure out what to do with all these felines. You know, the one cats obviously are way easier than children, but here's one thing that you got an advantage with kids. The people whose houses you're going to can't say no, don't bring your kids, because we were like, hey, it would be a lot easier if we could just like bring the chill cat and leave like 2 rather than having to deal with it. And they're like, mom and dad are like, no. And then Rachel's mom was like, no. Like everyone was like, no, we don't want to do that. I'm like, it won't be that big. No. Okay. All right. Well, fine. Whatever. So, I mean, can you imagine if you're like, we're going to bring Ethan and Aaron, you're like, I don't know.
No, harsh, bud.
Yeah. So it'll be fun. But it was Maxie, my mother-in-law, texted me yesterday, and it was 12 degrees and they had 12 inches of snow on the ground. Yeah. Something like that. So we get a little foray into real winter weather and then run away.
Yeah. Come on back.
Exactly. All right. Well, obviously we're traveling because it is the holidays, end of the year, Hanukkah and Christmas. So this pod is going to be fairly predictably, I guess, about end of this year and looking forward to 2026. A little bit of a transition. As you're hearing this, it should be, we're on the 30th. So we're wrapping things up for 1 year and moving forward. Well, hopefully we'll have everything wrapped up as this is coming out. But yeah, so Matthias, if you want to go ahead and get us started on, where you want to kind of just launch into, not so much a review, but taking it forward. Yeah.
Yeah. We a lot of things changed this year. I feel like we got better at a lot of different things too. We developed some new really strong partnerships in 2025. We obviously added to the portfolio pretty significantly. We had some Mississippi, some Texas. Really excited about that. We also exited another one of our properties, which again it's always nice to have kind of full cycle is what they call it on an investment, and kind of more proof of concept, more of a track record that we can show to people, and just more credibility in the across all levels, with investors, with brokers, with partners, everybody. It's always nice to be able to be able to point to actual data that that you can walk the walk and so forth. So we learned a lot, I'd say. You'd probably agree on 2025, all the learning that we got into, whether it's our systems or just I don't know, dealing with people. a lot of lessons that we've learned, but I'm excited. I think we're at a great spot going towards heading towards 2026. I'm excited the way about how multifamily is looking in general going into 2026, and I think a lot of brokers and lenders and such are kind of seeing the same thing. And I think everybody who's kind of bided their time, is that a thing? Bode their time, is that a thing? I don't know how I say that, but anyway, I think a lot of people who have been patient,
because bode is future. Anyway, future past. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Like it does not bode well, right? That's future. Anyways, go ahead.
I think they're going to be rewarded. I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity, and I think people who have preserved their reputation and their ability to kind of raise capital and get investors, it's excited. I think 26 is going to be a strong year for that, for those people.
Well, actually, on that note, real quick, I meant to ask you when we were talking about it. Obviously, no details, but are we looking at any properties while we're out there in Mississippi, or just going to the current ones?
Several.
Okay, all right. So just speaking of looking forward to 2026 and how it could be exciting. Yeah,
that's
absolutely. Okay.
I've had these conversations regularly in the last few weeks with brokers, lenders, people who, hey, have you seen this deal? I got another text this morning. Hey, have you seen this deal on a new deal that I haven't seen yet? So the opportunity is going to be there. Obviously they're never all great deals. So we'll be choosy like we always are, but again, a strong flow and a deal flow, and a strong, I guess most of them are a lot close. Like, 2 years ago, every deal that came across my desk, there weren't many, but when they did, they were absurd. It was like, okay, nobody's going to buy this property for the price they're asking. But those kind of the reasonable, what I would pay and the asking price are getting closer and closer these days. Mm-hmm. So to where it's like, it's not a waste of time. It's like, hey, we're in the ballpark. We could definitely go negotiate and knock this deal down. We're seeing a lot of that these days, I guess. The starting point is a lot closer to where I want to end up.
And I'm assuming that the answer to this question would be both, right? Because if I was thinking, oh, is that because of the way the market has moved and people finally getting over their 2022 high, I would call it, or the hangover from that, where they're like, no, I can still get. So it's probably partly that. I'm just going to answer my own question. And then partly, them getting to know you better, or which one do you think it's more, I guess? I know it's probably both, but which one?
It's probably, it's definitely both. I do think it's mostly sellers are going, look, I thought I could wait out an interest rate hike that was just going to be a blip, and that blip has turned into a 3-year reality, and with no signs of, like, it's not like next year we're going to see interest rates go back down to 3%. It's just not going to happen. So everybody's kind of come to, it's the new normal, so everybody who's like, hey, do I want to try to hold on to this thing for another 5 years hoping that interest rates come down lower? Or am I just going to accept the reality of where we're all at now and sell at a price that people can afford to buy? And I think it's all of that has just kind of slowly been dawning realization. Couple that with, loans becoming due on all these properties, people aging, like it's another 4 years since 2022 happened. And they're like, look, I don't want to just keep doing this indefinitely. It's, for a lot of the generational owners and things, some of the value add properties that we target, they're like, okay, there's no reason I'm going to, what's different now that it's going to be different in 5 years? Who knows? But it's not like I can point to any particular thing and say it's going to be way better in 5 years if I sell. They don't know that. There's, that ship has sailed to them. So they're like, okay, well, selling today versus waiting another 5 years and maybe getting more, maybe not. I think they're all just kind of coming to the realization that here's where we are now. This is the new reality. And so they're going to brokers, they're going to deals, going to lenders, and just talking around with other investors. And for me, we've closed multiple deals in the markets that we target, and we're regularly discussing deals, seeing deals, making offers on deals. So we're developing a name for ourselves. I'm writing about it in the newsletter, especially in the southern Mississippi. I want to be the guy they call first whenever they come across a deal that fits kind of close to our criteria, and I think we're getting closer to that. Because brokers, if they just think you're kicking tires and you're not really, you don't ever really close on anything, they feel like they're wasting their time. So, but on the other hand, if you say, hey, that deal I want, and then you close on that deal, they go, okay, hey man, if I get something in front of Matthias that he wants and he will close, they're much more likely to start bringing you stuff first ahead of any other competition.
Right. The reason for that is obvious. One just kind of comment that's a little bit of an aside, and then I do have a question about that. It is a little bit interesting and definitely a comment. I'll just leave it neutral. Comment on human psychology that an interest rate that was produced by a once in a century pandemic became like the normal, that people were like, okay, it's going to stay here. Oh, it went up. No, it's going to come back here. So I just thought, holding on to that, they were like, it's going to come back. There were a lot of factors that caused that, guys. It wasn't just like the market kind of just went up and down.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's wishful thinking, right? That's
yeah, exactly.
You want it to be true, so you can kind of back into it with your own rationalization.
Yeah. I mean, my most recent, my economic history of like the last, I guess, 25 years, I'm not gonna say it's the best, but it's pretty sure that 3% at no point in the last 30 years was any kind of thing that happened.
Nah, I mean, it actually didn't drop too much off of where it was, because they were historically low going into the pandemic. Yeah. By historical standards. And then when they bottomed out at during the pandemic, and we were like, okay, we can argue whether or not it was a good idea to do that or not, but it happened.
The response to the pandemic is different than what happened after. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I know we got a good rate on our house when we bought in 2018. Sure, it was low, but it wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, I refinanced in March of 2020 because I was like, really? Okay. Sub 3 on our primary residence. So it's like, that's not happening anytime soon.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, I think I'm happy for you. I think Kenan did the same. I mean, I'm happy. My parents have one like that too, which happy for them, obviously. I guess that's a little bit, I'm happy for them because it's them. And then I guess selfishly that also helps me eventually. I don't know. But
wow, killing off your parents.
I'm not, whoa. Look, I've noticed that humans don't live forever. So I'm not going to get left anything after this conversation. But anyway.
I know, he's going to listen.
Yeah. I was going to ask, I don't think I actually we ever completely talked about this, and it's an interesting thing to frame from the challenges, right? And all the things that we learned in our first basically full calendar year of doing this full time, right? Mm-hmm. Did you have conversations? I'm sure you did. What kinds of conversations did you have with brokers after the Southwind thing fell apart the second time? Because I think the first time the circumstances were different. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. I honestly, I really didn't change. It didn't change how I was having conversations with brokers.
Huh.
Yeah.
Because did they ask you about it?
Not really. Okay. Not really. And the thing about Mississippi is, like, as a non-disclosure state, people are used to not knowing, not getting many details on anything, whether it goes through or not. They're used to just, because it's not recorded. The deed transfer is recorded, but nothing else is, like the price, the loan information, none of that stuff is ever disclosed. So, it's basically like word of mouth. Hey, so I'm sure I'm sure brokers talked about me, but
no, that's what I was saying,
and our partners and things, but nobody ever asked me about it. And I was just like, hey, I'm here to move forward and look at new, better properties. And we did. And kind of just, hey, things happen, things go wrong, dealing with that guy and all the issues that we had. It's like, it is what it is.
Sure.
No hard, there were no hard feelings in the broker team that we had. I got a text from one of them this morning. Like they weren't like, oh, Matthias is going to the bottom of the list now. It's just, it is what it is. We all gave it our best try and moving on.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't thinking that they were going to be like, put an asterisk by our name or anything, but it would be interesting. I just thought it'd be interesting if they were like, hey, just as part of the conversation, just talking shop, as it were. Because there's got to be a difference between what those situations and then people who kick tires, as you like to say, or put in offers that and then they fall apart pretty quickly. I would imagine that the grapevine said, oh no, it was this, rather than, it didn't.
Yeah. Well,
it didn't come from our end and the way that would harm the reputation.
I think it also helped it, like, and I don't want to say helped, but I think the reputation, the fact that we had our own money hard and at risk and ended up, it's not like we tried to back out and fleece everybody. It's like, oh no, we paid quite dearly for the issues that happened. So
that's a good point, that it was.
And I think, the brokers can always go to that and say, hey man, Matthias was pot committed. There's no, he was not flaky. There was no flaking on Matthias's part. So I think that, but yeah, I mean, we, like I said, even in the ones that didn't go well, we learned a lot. And well, sometimes you learn more in the ones that don't go through. But yeah.
If you're willing, I would say, just as a teacher, I can say that scenario of the failure.
Yeah.
Can go a couple of ways at least. But yeah, absolutely. Sure. We're learning. Well, on that note, is there anything in particular, that you was learned process wise, approach wise, philosophy wise, anything from, of course, I mean, as we're here talking, and the newsletters are going to talk about too, had those learning episodes, and then had two successful ones, one of which we were the lead on. And so, that's kind of the bookend of the year, honestly, since one of them was actually actively falling apart around this time last year.
Yeah. I would say what I learned the most is that I like to, it's much easier to negotiate from a position of strength and to act from a position of strength when it comes to, if that means, and that could be several different ways. It means experience, capital, ready to go, whatever it might be. I want to always have a position of strength, and where of confidence, even when I'm taking down a property, when I'm making offers and negotiating whatever it is. I don't want to have any doubts in my head, whether that means bringing on more partners and who can bring more capital, whether it means bringing on somebody more experienced or more experienced in XYZ type of anything, whatever it is that we're, or in a market, if it's a new market for us, having somebody who's very experienced in the market on the team, whatever it is, I want to be in a position of confidence. And a lot of times, and kind of by necessity in the past, I've been like, hey, I'm going to bet on myself. We can make this happen. But there's a limit to that. There's always a limit to that. And I think going forward, and obviously we never risk any investor capital before any closings on properties. So, there's no investors at risk. Other than the time and effort and energy it takes to, evaluate a deal, commit to a deal, and then wire funds in. Even their money was never at risk, but there's an effort risk, I guess. I think just learning that we're all better when we're in a confident position, knowing that what we can and cannot do whenever we go into a property, no matter the size of the property, the size and scope. I think that's what I've learned most of all, and it's always better to be in the confident position, even if it means, hey, as an operator, I make less money in the long run because I have more partners, whatever it might be. I don't particularly care about that. What I'd much rather be is in a confident, comfortable position of strength when I'm going in on a deal, and that I can always knowing that there's never going to be any issues on my side is a nice place to be, I guess.
Yeah. So kind of like, if you want to frame that, you've kind of added a piece to the conservative underwriting, if you will, right?
Sure.
Being more conservative because it's not necessarily about betting on yourself. I'm not saying that I'm not speaking about any partners that we've had or will have at the moment. Just in that thought process, there is only so much you can do and bet on yourself. There's going to be so much, and there's only so far you can drag other people, right? If they're not. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of the thing, like conservative underwriting, an approach to who also is involved and how many, right? Like maybe you have more than you needed. Mm-hmm. Maybe it seems like it's very much the same thing as we made sure that we calculated getting, now we're close to the rents that we think we're going to get and the occupancies and the same thing. Right?
Yeah, I agree. That's a good way to put it, is be conservative in the structure side as well, in terms of how many potential partners, or, just what I said earlier, however many, experience, capital, whatever it might be, maybe just literally bring in more that we need, more reserves, more, all those things.
We've been alluding to things that are happening mainly in one state, not all, but so let's talk about Mississippi as a market, and not just as a market, but all the things going on there.
Yeah, I think one of the big positives this year, especially in the Mississippi market, southern Mississippi, whether it be the Biloxi, Gulfport area, or up in Hattiesburg, I think we're learning that our underwriting there and our market analysis is pretty spot on. We're seeing that we're almost immediately, closing on the property we almost immediately hit our target numbers, doing nothing to the property as soon as we took over. And that just goes to show that, hey, we can be confident in our numbers and what we're looking at in our analysis and kind of projections in those markets. At least as of right now, I think it's good to know that our numbers are spot on, or we can beat our numbers, even like we always try to do. And I think that's cool, and it's always good. And again, that just kind of gives us more momentum going into 2026. As we do find more properties coming across our desk, we can make our offers more confident. Just like I said earlier, is I can be more confident in the numbers. Like, hey, if I get this property for this number, I'm quite confident that it will, at least make this return in the future.
Right. And, on that note, you mentioned those who have bided their time, and you were thinking on the kind of GP deal side,
owner side.
But I think I just want to put it out there that if those of you that are listening have been biding your time on making an investment, I think this is just good news, maybe even better news. I don't know. I don't feel like we've been saying a lot of bad news, but that when these deals come out, maybe this is a moment for you to make a jump, whether you've already established a relationship with us or you need to get in contact with us and go ahead and do that. But sorry, I'm not going to make this a sales pitch, but I just thought that there's other ways in which people buy.
No, I mean, I am confident in saying that, hey, there's going to be some real good opportunities coming, probably pretty quick in 2026. So for people who, you're right, for people who have been on the fence for a while, I was like, look, we will fill up. We will have whatever we find. We will either, whether it be solely us or us with a few partners, us with a lot of partners, we will fill up because the opportunities are going to be there and the numbers are going to be really good. That I'm confident at. So if you've been sitting on the fence and are interested in this, like this is a buy time. This is going to be a time to buy. It doesn't, not the entire market has not figured it out yet that it's buy. So this is like, we're nearing the bottom of, I know, don't tell anybody. We're nearing the bottom of whatever trough people think we're in. Obviously it doesn't impact us because we buy on the same criteria, whether it's a good market, bad market, up, down, whatever. We don't care if we get a deal for a deal, then we're going to buy it. But this is going to be some good opportunities, I think, to people, especially those that have been wanting to and working on getting started. Now's the time.
Oh yeah, okay. And I think, well, on that note, I was going to ask, and I think this kind of ties into both Mississippi specifically, and what you were just talking about, and then actually as we move forward, do you have any goals for partnerships? And I don't know if that means like establishing more relationships with other capital raisers, GP teams, or if that's just, hey, I've known a few people that we've talked about doing things a few times. It's never worked out. Definitely want to try to make that happen this time. Or these are all options, and they could be multiple. Is there any thought to like, hey, I've talked to a number of people about Mississippi and they've never been like, they've understood, they've looked at the numbers, they like the numbers, but there's still like that hesitation that it is Mississippi? Like, you think is like a turning point year maybe for any of that? I don't even know if that's existing. I'm just, throwing it out, out there.
Well, I'll start at the beginning. Yeah, I've been actively looking whether I had a deal or not for the past, I don't know, 4 months for other potential partners, just so that, building that Rolodex out, that so, hey, if I have a property that requires too much capital, that we don't have enough dry powder in our tanks to take down ourselves, partner, like having these conversations ahead of time, making sure we're like-minded individuals, so that whenever that situation arises, I can make a couple phone calls or emails or whatever and say, hey, here's something we're looking at. Is this something you're interested in? Just be that much easier, because nobody wants to start looking for partners halfway through a deal.
Well,
what I mean, trying to avoid ever getting to that situation. So yes, I'm absolutely doing that, because I want to have like a solid group of connections that at any given time we can draw from if we find a deal that's applicable. And then on the investor side, I just think continuing to show strong returns and strong cash flow, strong distributions on our Mississippi properties. I'm going to look. We're looking at other places. We have some partners that we're looking at. Like I said, Indiana. We're trying to hack into a Midwest market. I really like the numbers up there. Haven't come across the right property yet, but that doesn't. I mean, that could happen tomorrow. You never know. So there's that, and so finding diverse places for some investors who are just not bullish on Mississippi for their own reasons, whatever they may be. We will work on trying to diversify. We always do, whether it's with a partnership like we did in Texas or Savannah or wherever. We're always looking to diversify. But I think just continuing to show a track record of Mississippi that's really exceeding expectations, I think will convince some people probably.
Well, I think you're right. I'm sure that, especially when the most recent stuff gets established, that the numbers, the argument will be strong.
Yeah, I'm confident in that.
But I was actually asking about GP partners who are hesitant to help raise for a property in Mississippi.
Gotcha. That I may not be able to, because more than likely they get a bunch of opportunities just like I do in whatever markets they do. And so they'll probably, I see this, what's going on in, our markets is probably going on in most markets. So I feel like they're going to get a good influx of opportunities as well. So they may or may not change their mind on that, on, you know, being bullish in Mississippi. But, you know, that's that's outside of my control. So all I can do is kick butt and show them the numbers and see if they're interested.
Well, speaking of that, as far as markets, I guess in a way, CBI is kind of, not too much detail here, of course, but exiting a market that is Western Florida.
Yeah.
As of now, yeah, right? I mean, there's no.
Yeah, we have some personal holdings, but the investors we're out, as it were, on all of our Florida properties with investors, and that's mainly driven by the fact that when we started, we were buying older buildings, and then insurance is just a anvil smashing older buildings right now. So that's too much risk, in our opinion. That's too much risk to eat up all the returns by insurance premiums. And that we, until Florida is able to, so basically a lot of carriers left Florida, just, you know, hurricanes, whatever it might be, they left. And until there's and obviously lack of competition drives prices up, the opposite of when more companies come in and flood the market and try to undercut each other. So that's what's going on in the insurance game in Florida. It's getting better. We're definitely seeing it improve, but it's also, I can remove that risk. I will, you know, by buying in a different market. Even though it's the same coastal market, it goes state by state. So Alabama and Mississippi do not have the same issue, or Georgia, that Florida has. You know, they have their own issues sometimes, but it's not. Florida is the insurance problem right now, just due to lack of carriers that will write paper in Florida. That drove our decision to move on, and we're not really evaluating too many properties in Florida. We'll look at them because we know that, I mean, the growth prospects and the rent growth, business growth, all that stuff is very strong, and that those fundamentals haven't changed. But if I can remove, like I said, if I can remove a certain risk from the stack of risks that are just inevitable in every investment, I'm going to. And so until I see that risk kind of mitigated on its own, we'll probably be out of Florida until it comes back.
Yeah. Or until we can just buy one straight cash.
Yeah. Well, sure. Yeah.
But I mean, insurance is a little bit different, but still.
Well, yeah, not having a lender requirement is true, but also, I mean, we do full coverage on everything. So there's, whether it was cash or not, I wouldn't risk, you know, that. So that, yes and no. Lenders do have some absurd requirements at times.
I mean, I think if we're in a position where we could actually buy something straight cash, you know, even if we don't buy a Florida property, it'll be it's something to work for. All right. Well, my joking aside, anything that you want to, I don't know, predict, establish as a resolution here at the end, something?
I don't know. I'd like to do, you know, we close on 2 properties. I think we have well within our power to close on. One of those was with partners. One of those was, well, they were both with partners. One of them we led. One of them we were a following partner per se. Mm-hmm. But I think it's well within our power to do, you know, 2 or 3 on our own this coming year. I won't say on our own, I'll say it as lead partner in our markets. Just the way the deal flow that I'm getting and kind of honing our business plan. I'd like to think we can do 2 or 3 separate investments, because the other reason for that is just investor timing is, you know, it's just its own thing. So sometimes, you know, it is a great time for a particular investor, and a month and a half later is not a good time, or vice versa. So I'd like to have options where we have a growing investor pool, and I'd like to be able to, you know, connect as many people as same thing we always try to do, is connect as many people as we can to a really good opportunity. So I'd like to do that. We may or may not continue to be, you know, sign on as following partners, junior partners with other deals. We'll evaluate those independently. Basically, like, hey, a strong deal. That's why we partners, because it's access to deals that we couldn't take down on our own. So we'll continue to evaluate that. I don't really want to put any hard numbers on it, but I think we have a really good chance to do 2 or 3 deals pretty quickly in 2026, and we'll kind of see how that shakes out by like summertime. I think we'll be in the thick of it.
Okay. I'm going to say we cracked 20 subscribers on YouTube, and that's because we only need one. We only need one.
Yeah, let's do it. Those of you listening on Spotify, go subscribe on YouTube. Just give Jordan a win right at the end of the year here.
You know, strangely, I guess it speaks to maybe who it is that listens, but Spotify gets like no listens. It's Substack, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts more.
Well, there you go.
Also, I keep seeing Australia as a country where people are listening. So if you're out there,
VPN,
Australia,
I don't know.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't think that's.
Well,
I don't think
have a good summer.
Yeah, exactly. If you're out there, hello. Anyway, that's all I got. Honestly, keep honing those processes, but I'm not going to get into that. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap it up here, everybody.
Yeah,
we'll get off to our holidays. You guys, everybody, I hope you have a great holiday season and are able to celebrate whatever it is you celebrate with all that you love. And as always, we really appreciate you guys listening, and please reach out if you have any questions, comments, or would love to be a part of this and aren't yet. You can reach out to me or Matthias, and we'll get you on that calendar, get that meeting set up, and get you involved where you can be more in the know about what's going on with us. But otherwise, as always, we really appreciate you listening, and we hope you come back to listen to us next time on another edition of the Get Invested podcast.
See ya.